Trojan family, what's going on? Welcome back to the USC LAFB show. I'm your host, Ryan Dyrud. Hope everyone is having a fantastic President's Day weekend, long weekend. Hopefully, if you're traveling, be safe. Going to get some rain here in LA, which means some snow up in the mountains. After watching these Winter Olympics, I got to get to the snow. I got to break the snowboard out and get up to the mountains to hit the slopes. But it's been a busy family weekend, but wanted to jump on here with some coaching updates. One of these is real old news, so I'm sure you've all heard. So you can comment, let me know I'm late to the party, but I'm sorry I couldn't get on yesterday. But Chad Savage gets a promotion of pass game coordinator in his title. So he still will be the tight ends coach, still will be the inside receivers coach, and now gets the addition of pass game coordinator to his title with, you would assume, maybe a little pay increase as well. So good promotion for Coach Savage. And great for USC to keep him here, as I believe he is truly one of the rising stars in college football. We know he had offers out there. I think Kansas State was one of the schools coming after him. We know that, I think other schools as well. I don't know the exact schools and opportunities, but you got to think a guy like him, how he has risen very quickly, is going to start getting offensive coordinator looks, even though he has not had that title. And those will come from group of 6 schools or lower level schools to give him a shot as an OC. But certainly some of those title promotions like USC just did maybe were given from other schools as well, trying to lure him away. Not a true OC, but a little bit of a promotion. So USC locks him down with that. When you look at Chad Savage specifically, I think he is already one of the rising college football coaches in terms of development, and he has already established as one of the best recruiters in college football. So he's not a rising star in recruiting. He's already there. He is already a star in recruiting. That was one of the big gets when USC got him from Colorado State was, okay, this is a guy, yeah, Torrey Horton was in his room. We saw Torrey Horton do some good things when healthy. Saw some other good things at Colorado State. But what really excited all of us was his recruiting prowess, and specifically his connections already made in SoCal. So he was already building relationships in SoCal for Colorado State, comes to USC, those relationships are made, and now he's at the premier SoCal college at USC, and we've seen the importance that have had already in the recruiting ranks, right? Like Mark Bowman, he was integral in that recruitment. Josiah Jefferson from the JUCO ranks, integral in that. Obviously, he's the tight end coach. When you look at Trent Mosley, when you look at Caden Dixon-Wyatt, even, Bowie Feaster, I think, was more so at Dennis Simmons, but Coach Savage still involved in a lot of the processes across recruiting. And we've now seen Lincoln Riley kind of utilize Savage across the board, not just tight end and inside receivers. We've seen him involved in Honor Faalave Johnson's recruiting, who USC sees as a primary safety, but they will have offensive packages for him. So Savage has been involved in that. So just a big relationship guy. And whether he's recruiting his position or not, he is extremely important to the entire operation for USC recruiting. So he is already a star in recruiting, and keeping a guy like that on staff after losing 2 of your top recruiters in Doug Belk, which we'll get to later, and Coach Henderson, it was very important to kind of keep your third, wheel of the car, if you will, in terms of just recruiting prowess. Now, in terms of development, this is where I think he's a rising star. And it takes time to establish your name as a development. But think about it. His player won the Blitnikoff, Mekhi Lemon. Now, many out there will say this, and it's true. Mekhi Lemon was going to be good regardless. Like we saw last year, or in 2024, he was already a rising star in receiving ranks. He was a top recruit out of Los Al. Could play both ways, corner or receiver. So extremely athletic player. It wasn't like he came out of nowhere. But I think you can certainly attribute Chad Savage developing him, going from Mekhi Lemon being a really good to great receiver to being a Blitnikoff winner. Now, that's just speculation. We can all debate on if he would have won it without him or not. That would have to be coming from Mekhi Lemon and Savage and in that room. But I think that's a fair argument that, hey, Mekhi Lemon was going to be good regardless. Would he have been a Blitnikoff winner without Chad Savage? I think that's what you kind of can argue with that. Also, when you look at the tight end room, there was a huge increase in production remember a year ago, not a touchdown from the tight end room. Then you had this season, Lake McCree and Walker Lyons, who was getting his first real starting action, really break out as tight ends. Now, unfortunately, both those guys are gone. Lake McCree going to the draft and Walker Lyons transferring to BYU. But we saw the immediate impact that Savage had on the tight end room. And so now this offseason is extremely important. And I think, obviously, for both USC and Chad Savage for kind of two reasons. For Chad Savage, this is a massive resume builder this season because he will be essentially returning 0 starters to his room when you think about tight ends and inside receivers. 0. I mean, there's a couple receivers that probably, Zacharias Williams probably played some inside, outside versatility in practice, but we obviously didn't see it much on the field because of injury. Tanuk Hines is playing more of that X receiver on the outside. So, I mean, literally both tight ends gone and obviously Mekhi Lemon gone. So he is able to really put a stamp now on his development because we will see a full turnover of starters in his room. It's probably going to be a heavy dose of Mark Bowman as a true freshman. How quickly can Chad Savage get him up to speed as a true freshman, right? Josiah Jefferson, obviously, as not a true freshman, but a JUCO kid coming over. So first-time D1 player, how quickly can he get him up to speed? And then you get the Big Ten Wisconsin tight end who's going to come in, but he's going to be more of your inline blocking guy, not a true threat necessarily in the passing game. And then in the slot receiver category, we'll see what Zacharias Williams look like. We'll see what some of the returner guys, but how Trent Mosley, as a true freshman, can he get ample playing time in that slot as a true freshman, who I think is going to be an elite receiver for USC? Just how quickly will it happen? We'll see more as the season unfolds, but Caden Dixon-White, will we see him more on the outside or the slot? Like, I probably size-wise see him as an outside guy, but I think he can certainly play in the slot. With, Weaver and Boobie Feaster maybe more as your outside guys. Or Derek Tizino, how does he look? Is he slot outside? Like, this is where we'll kind of see the maturation of these guys, or I should say the development of these guys. And Chad Savage can absolutely boost his resume because you go like, okay, yeah, the Biletnikoff winner was in your room, but he was going to be really good anyway. Well, now if these guys show out, ball out as all first-time starters, it's like, okay, that's a really good coach. That's a guy that can develop guys really quickly and get them on the field. And if you're a player and you're like, dang, look at what this guy did with all these freshman first-time starters, I want to go there. I want to play for that guy in that offense with obviously Lincoln Riley and what else they have. But I want that to be my position coach because he's not just doing it with juniors and seniors and guys that were looked to be good. Like, these were all freshmen. These were all first-time starters. So huge for Savage. And then obviously for USC, keeping that continuity. You lose some guys on the defensive side, but keeping that continuity on the offensive side, just going into his second season. So you don't want to switch everything up and have to have a new position coach, maybe changing some protocols and changing some different things for the guys that are still there that have been developing in those rooms that maybe we haven't seen as much because they haven't been on the field. So a win-win for all accounts and a huge congrats to Coach Savage. These are all my guys, right? Like, I love all these coaches, but I've always... right when Savage got hired, I was able to talk to him a little bit more. And, we have that connection of, I lived from Colorado and Colorado State. I had a bunch of friends go too. So we kind of had that connection. So great to see him get what is deserved and staying right here in USC. Finally, to wrap up this video, I'm sure many of you saw Doug Belk is going to the NFL, hired by the Denver Broncos as their defensive backs coach. This was the ultimate win-win, or not win-win necessarily, but best case scenario for USC when you lose Eric Henderson and you lose Doug Belk. And let me explain that. I mean, best case scenario in the fact that those guys leaving, if they ended up at Oregon, UCLA, Michigan, Ohio State, whatever, some Big Ten rival, that would have been kind of devastating because not only do I think they're good coaches, but we know there's no debate they're great recruiters. And so now you have those guys that were recruiting for USC now recruiting against USC in Southern California because they would keep their ties here. So if Doug Belk went to Oregon, not that Oregon really needs extra help in SoCal, but he'd be like, hey, all these guys I was talking to for USC, now I can flip the script. So him going to the Broncos, Henny going to the Washington Commanders, like going to the NFL, great for them. I think that bodes well for USC as a program, showing these guys going to the NFL. Whatever PR you want to spin it, it is a good look. And then, yeah, just benefits USC in the fact that they're not going to rival schools and competing against them now. So hats off to Doug Belk. Congrats. Many of you do know I am a Denver Broncos fan in the NFL, so I'm pumped to see him go to the team that I follow in the NFL. And, hope he does really well with those guys there. Obviously, some great talent out in Denver with Pat Surtain and, some of the safeties they got out there. So it should be fun to see, and he'll inherit a pretty good room, and we'll see how they develop there from there. But yeah, good for USC. Doesn't lose, doesn't, have to go against those guys within their same conference within college football. So with that, I'll bid you adieu. Watching some USA hockey here in the Winter Olympics. Hope everyone enjoys your Sunday. Stay dry. It's going to be a wet next couple of days. But that means I'll be back with plenty more USC stuff all week long. So hit that like and subscribe button. Check out some of our merch. I'd love if you guys would support the channel, support LAFB. It's linked right here on the YouTube channel. You can see below some of our USC products, or just go to LAFBnetwork.com and go to the shop tab. You can see all of our LA football stuff, or LA, sports. We have some Lakers gear, some Dodgers gear, all custom handmade, or designed, I should say. Not like I'm not in the sewing room sewing the shirts, but the designs are all custom made. So, check it out, help support us. And, I think it's good to support. I'll give you our promo code LAFB, get you 25% off. So good quality shirt. It's locally made, and you get a nice discount for it and help support us. So check out our merch below, or become a member of the channel, and you'll get a discount as well. If you become a member of the channel, help support us that way. So appreciate you all. Stay tuned for a quick note from our friends over at Sleeper. And as always, family, fight on. Hey, Trojan family, thank you so much for hanging out and watching the USC LAFB show. Before you go, let me tell you quickly about our friends over at Sleeper. Go right now, download the Sleeper app. It's the #1 sports app, not just for season-long fantasy, but they've got live pickers, they've got live stat updates, they've got a chat that you can chat with other users, plus the daily pick'em, which is a blast, or daily fantasy, whatever you want to call it. You go and pick 2 to 8 players across any sports. If you're talking USC, go choose Jade Mayava in his next matchup. Pick more or less passing yards, more or less touchdowns. You stack those, and you can win real money. When you go to make your first deposit, make sure you use our promo code USCLAFB. You're going to get a match deposit up to $100. Put in $100, you get $100 free to play with from Sleeper. Put in $10, they'll match you that $10, so now you're sitting at $20 to play with. But also, right now, for any new users, no deposit required. You get $20 free entry. You can stack both. You can get the $20 for free. Go make a deposit. Use USC LAFB, and now you've got a bunch of free money to play with right there on the Sleeper app. Check it out, Trojan family, and when you do, tell them the guys at the USC LAFB sent you.
If you like the show, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. It really does help the show to grow. Thank you for listening.